Okay, so ready to dive in. Today, we're tackling something I think a lot of us struggle with, burnout. And it doesn't matter what you do, it can really hit hard.
It really can. And
Yeah,
it can hit at any stage of your career too, right?
exactly. Yeah. So we're looking at CodeSkill Chronicles, Burnout Busters. It's this guide basically aimed at people in tech, but I think there's a lot we can all take from it no matter what field we're in.
Or absolutely. I mean, the way they frame it is really interesting. They talk about careers, especially in demanding field, like it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think that's such a good analogy.
Yeah, totally. It's about pacing yourself, not burning out right at the start. In fact, they have this story about a junior developer who pulls an all-nighter to try and get ahead, and it backfires completely.
Oh yeah, I've heard those stories. You think you're being super productive, but then you end up making more mistakes or needing even more time to fix things later. It's like you're running on fumes.
Exactly. So their first big piece of advice is all about setting the pace. If you're new to your career, just starting out, don't try to sprint. Don't try to do everything at once. Focus on smaller, manageable goals, just finishing one function, one task at a time.
Yeah, break it down. Like, if you're running a marathon, you're not thinking about the entire 26 miles at once,
Right.
right? You're focusing on the next mile, the next water station. Small wins keep you going.
Right. And you've got to celebrate those small wins too. Acknowledge them, even if it's just mentally. Give yourself that little pat on the back.
Totally. That sense of accomplishment is like fuel for the long haul.
Yeah.
It's what keeps you from feeling overwhelmed by the big picture.
And speaking of overwhelm, let's talk about those of us who are, a bit further along, the mid-career folks juggling like a zillion things at once. What do you think about their advice for this group?
Well, they really stress remembering your why. Like, why did you even get into this field in the first place? What were you passionate about? But I think it's so easy to lose sight of that when you're in the weeds.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with deadlines and pressure and maybe even questioning if you're on the right path at all.
Oh, for sure. I've been there. It's like you get so caught up in the day-to-day that you forget what drew you to this work in the first place.
Right. So they suggest this exercise of actually tracking your energy, not just your task, but like what energizes you during the day, what drains you. Because if you can identify those things,
You can start to structure your work in a way that makes you more sustainable.
yeah, exactly. Find your rhythm, so to speak.
And then, of course, there's the veterans, the experienced folks. I like how Burnout Busters kind of positions them as role models when it comes to pacing.
Oh, yeah. They have this great example of someone who implemented focus hours for their team, like
Yeah.
blocks of time with no meetings where everyone could just like heads down, get stuff done.
And that not only helped the individual team members, right? It made the whole team more productive. It's like leading by example.
Right, showing that it's okay, even beneficial, to prioritize focused work and create a more sustainable pace for everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about setting the pace, but what about when you hit that wall? You're running the marathon and suddenly you can't go any further. How do you dodge the wall, as they call it?
Well, they have different advice for different career stages again. For those just starting out, they talk about that feeling of like suddenly not understanding even basic concepts, like your brain just shuts down.
Right, like you're stuck on something that should be simple, but you just can't wrap your head around it. And you start to doubt yourself, like, am I even cut out for this?
Totally. And their advice, step away completely. Like get up, walk away from the computer, take a nap, whatever you need to do to just reset.
Give your brain a break.
Yeah, it's like in a marathon, if you hit the wall, sometimes you need to walk for a bit, let your body recover. Same thing for your mind.
And then for the mid-career folks, hitting the wall often looks different, right? It's more about overcommitment, saying yes to too many things, taking on too much responsibility.
Yeah, I think that's so relatable for a lot of people. You want to be helpful, you want to prove yourself, but you end up spreading yourself too thin.
And then you're not doing anything well.
Right. So they talk about the importance of learning to say no and setting realistic expectations with people, even if it means saying, hey, I can do this, but it might mean pushing back on that other thing,
Hmm.
being upfront about trade-offs.
Which is hard.
It is hard. It's so hard, but so necessary if you want to avoid burnout in the long run.
Right. It's like, again, that marathon analogy. You can't sprint the whole race. You have to conserve your energy.
Exactly. And for the more senior people, they talk about the importance of recognizing burnout in others.
Mm.
Like noticing if someone's work quality is slipping or if they seem withdrawn.
And being able to step in and suggest, like, hey, maybe you need a break. Take a mental health day.
Yeah, creating that culture where it's okay to prioritize well-being. And one thing they suggest for everyone, regardless of career stage, is scheduling in buffer time.
Buffer time.
Yeah, like blocks of time in your schedule where you don't have any specific tasks assigned, just time to catch up, to think, to breathe.
Oh, that's smart. It's like building in those recovery periods.
Exactly. It helps prevent that feeling of constantly being behind and overwhelmed.
Okay, so last thing. We've talked about pacing ourselves, dodging that wall, but how do we keep the fire going, right?
Right.
How do we stay motivated in the long run?
Right. How do we fuel the fire, as they put it?
Okay, so for those starting out, they really emphasize celebrating those small wins, like really making a big deal out of them. They even suggest keeping a win jar.
A wind jar. What is that?
It's literally a jar where you write down all your accomplishments, even the small ones, and you put them in the jar. And then on those days when you're feeling discouraged, you can pull out a few and be like, oh yeah, I did that. I'm awesome.
I love that. It's such a visual reminder of your progress.
And for people in the middle of their careers, they talk about the importance of reconnecting with that initial spark, that passion that got you started in the first place. Maybe through side projects or hobbies or, anything that gets you excited outside of work.
I think that's so important because it's easy to lose that sense of play, that curiosity, when you're caught up in the daily grind.
Totally. And then for the more senior folks, they talk about the importance of inspiring others. Sharing your enthusiasm, maybe mentoring someone.
Yeah, because I think when you see someone else get excited about something you're passionate about, it rekindles that fire in you too.
And it gives you a fresh perspective, right? It makes you remember why you love what you do.
Exactly. So, I think the overall message here is it's a marathon, not a sprint. You have to pace yourself, be aware of your energy, and find ways to stay motivated in the long run.
And it's not just about avoiding burnout, right? It's about creating a more sustainable, more fulfilling way of working. And I think these principles, even though they're presented in the context of tech, they apply to all of us.
Absolutely. No matter what you do, if you're feeling that pressure, that overwhelm, these strategies can make a real difference.
So as we wrap up, I'd love for everyone listening to just think about what's one small change you could make today to better set your pace, to dodge that wall, or to fuel your fire. What's one tiny step towards a more sustainable and joyful work life?
That's a great question to leave everyone with. Thanks for diving into this with me.
Yeah, this was great.